The D and Davis Show.
D and Davis, the show, still in COVID formation, which I guess we'll be in for a longer period of time. Not to say that it was up.
You were right, Ken. You were right.
So definitely we got a lot to get into. Baby GOAT, as D said a minute ago, may have grown into Money Mahomes. He has to win 2 more titles before I release the Baby GOAT title. All right? Because it's set in admiration because no one has ever been. And this contract, and I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes, this contract is proof of how great he is, how we already view his greatness. That we're like, you know what? $500 million, right? Only played 2 years. It's like $500 million, and nobody's like, oh my God. Right, so
I know. Imagine us in Chicago being able to give him a 10-year, $500
million. It wouldn't have worked. He wouldn't have trusted this team with his legacy like that. He wouldn't have. He'd been
Don't
like,
say that.
He wouldn't have. Listen, it was the perfect storm.
It was a perfect storm. Yeah.
It was a perfect storm. Definitely got to talk about the restart of the NBA and the MLB. To say the least, my name is Kenneth Davis. You know my partner in crime. His name is
D. Demonsporo. What's happening, everybody? Hey, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at D and Davis Show. Once again, it's at D and Davis Show. You can find us on Facebook.com/D and Davis Show. Click on the bio link, and it'll definitely take you to all the places that we are: YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, all the good places. All right, subscribe, rate, share, all that good stuff. I'm on Twitter and IG at Demons1, DEMONZE1. Ken is on Twitter at That's Davis, IG as well. And our executive producer of the D and Davis Show and everything that we do, Ryan Bukoveski. Ryan's on Twitter at Ryan B. Ski and on IG at Ryan B. Ski 1.
All right, guys, let's go off top. D, what you got?
Off top.
All right. So one guy that especially White Sox fans, have grown to, I don't want to say hate, but kind of despise one Mr. Joe West. Old Joe. Joe West, he's an umpire for MLB. He's been around for a pretty long time, and he's 67 years old. And Joe West says some crazy stuff every once in a while. So today was no exception. Via the Sun-Times, Joe West made a comment, statement, if you want to say. Look, it is revolve around COVID-19. Look, most of these people that are reporting are dying of COVID-19 are now healthy to begin with. I've lost 25 pounds over the winter. I'm playing golf every day in the heat. I'm fine. I'm not going. I'm not going to back down now. Trying to find another quote for him. So basically, he's kind of like ridiculing the people who have passed away.
I love the connection between heat and a pandemic virus.
Exactly.
You know, if you can survive out in the heat,
you can do anything. All right, here's another quote from him. I don't believe in my heart that all these deaths have been from the coronavirus. I believe it may have contributed to some of the deaths. So he doesn't believe that,
I like the may have too.
Yeah, he doesn't believe the people.
Maybe no one's died.
Yeah, he doesn't believe that some of the people who had passed from COVID have died from COVID. He think it's something else. Well, Mr. West, just to give you a little bit of a lesson in science and health a little bit, the COVID or the coronavirus can trigger ailments in you that can cause you to die. So we are learning now throughout this virus that it affects not only your lungs, but it affects your kidneys, it affects your heart. So if someone dies of a heart attack, but we know that you had COVID-19, the COVID-19 triggered the heart attack. Things like that. That's how they're linked together, if you want to say. But listen, this is Joe West. As you said, White Sox fans know him very much so from umping games and hearing Hawk Harrison just rip him a new one every game. Old Joe West want to go out there and fight him. He wish he can cuss right now. But what do you guys think about this from Joe West once again being Joe West?
Carry your ass on. If that's what you want to risk it with players coming from all over the world. And, I mean, clearly you've seen how they shut down some of these camps in all of these sports industries as far as in the NBA and the NFL, I think even with the MLS. And they're basically like, whenever we get to playing, especially like, let's say, the NBA and the MLS, we'll just get to playing in those bubbles that we're going to enter into. But, dude, if you want to risk it and that's what you feel and you gung-ho about it, go on. I wish the best for your family. Listen, because it's going to be on them to deal with if something happens to you. Like, you're out there doing all this and being gung-ho. Hopefully you've made up, accumulated enough funds that umping every season isn't like, especially in the 60-game season, the strike short. I mean, not strike shortened, but a COVID shortened season. That you could afford not to necessarily have to necessarily go out there and ump as long as you've been umping. But if you want to prove and you want to go out there with all that banter, it's a free world. Go ahead. Like, again, and as you were just saying, I mean, what you say, 65 or 67?
He's 67 years old.
67. You're right in that range.
He's not even right in the range. He is on the range. He's right in the middle.
Yeah, that's right in the range.
Yeah.
And you're gonna sit there and you want to do it. And the thing is, this is the crazy thing. And we still, and you kind of alluded to this, we still don't know about this thing. We keep finding new stuff out every week, basically.
All time.
And for you to sit there and think, like, man, it's okay. Like, what happens when you get into a shouting match with a player or a manager and you don't know perhaps if they have been infected or whatsoever? You know what I'm saying?
I would think that they might try to, like, really rule that out. You can't lick your fingers. You can't spit on the mound. You can't have the great arguments, great baseball arguments that we've grown up to love. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're going to be able to really see them because we're going to be like, hold on, partner, 6 feet. You can't be in my face spitting and kicking dirt on me. You can't do that nowadays. Times have changed. Wait a minute. Here's another quote from Joe West. I said I'm not going to opt out. I'm going to work, and I'm going to work until you take me off the field or I get hurt. Whatever. I'm working.
But you know, another thing, I'll say this. I didn't think about this. It may not just be for him. I was being closed-minded a second ago. He may also be fighting for other umpires because it's just like with those NBA coaches and how the NBA Coaches Association came out and was like, whoa, y'all got to be careful because basically you're going to sit there and stop these guys from being able to make a living for the foreseeable future because we don't know when the vaccine is going to be out. You still need herd immunity really to prevent people from catching this regularly. So on another note, he may not necessarily just be doing this in a selfish manner. He may be doing this to protect other older umps so that they'll be able to continue to work, especially if you're at the end of your career. You don't even know how many years you may be able to work moving forward anyway.
Very true, Ken. But I want to pose this question. I kick it to you first, Ryan. So we have seen throughout this entire time of this epidemic that's been ravaging the world, really, but really hit home to America. And I don't know how many times we've said it right here or we said it on D and Davis to flip. This is the situations when you have people that are vulnerable and that cannot work. The ump union or MLB say, hey, you know what? We know you old and you would be umping right now. These 60 games, we want you to stay home and we want to pay. We're going to basically give you your salary and you're going to get taken care of. What do you think about that, Ryan?
I mean, I would like to see that practically, I guess. But, a lot of these umpires are not going to go for it. And like you said, Ken, if he's kind of trying to stand up for his kind of fellow mates in the umpiring world that, hey, we can do this. We understand the risks and we're going to move forward because, we feel like it's our duty to do it. The only problem I have, and it's like good old Kanye would say,
"Did you snore in my class? Wake up, Mr. West. Wake up, Mr. West.
Wake up, Mr. West." I mean, the way that he's saying some of these quotes that you're saying, D, like that Corona may have killed people. It may have not. I've been out in the hot weather. It's like
I've been playing golf.
Right. Well, we just talked about a second ago, those great, like, what if a player's getting in your face, a manager's getting in your face? I'm assuming the umpires have got to do double work in enforcing the COVID rules and not just the baseball rules. So if you're going to be kind of cavalier in some of the words you're saying, it makes me wonder a little bit how serious Joe West is taking this. And like, if let's say we're in a situation in the game where he just maybe underestimates COVID and doesn't follow through on enforcing a rule, and all of a sudden you've got a major leak for a team. And then that causes these bubbles, I guess, regionally for baseball to just unravel.
Ian Davis, the show. Yep. Listen, this is my thing too. With what you just pointed out, D, what if they could sit there and give them pay for them this season for not to come down there?
Yeah, if they're in that range. He's 7 years old. So
I don't think this season, like getting back to the NBA Coaches Association, I don't necessarily think it's about this season altogether. I think it's about next season and the seasons moving forward. Because that's you, especially when you're talking about unions and stuff like that, is to really look ahead as far as how can you impair our living, as far as impair us from making a good living. And yeah, okay, so we pay them the 60 games, but next year we still don't have anything to stop this, and we're trying to get in all the games, but we just said you don't need to be out there, right? And I'm not paying you for this. So I think also it's trying to make sure that you're not kicked out in a way because of COVID due to pre-consistent conditions and being of a certain age. Regardless, I think that's another thing. So it's not just this season.
Yeah.
I think it's really moving forward that they're like, listen, because if I let you do this now, y'all gonna be like, Pop, you got to go. Alvin Joe West, you got to go. Alvin Gentry, you got to go.
The annual salary for an MLB umpire is $120,000. I think they can swing it if any umpire is in that age range, or they know that he has an underlying health.
The year after they can swing it?
No. I'm just saying in general. I think they could pay $120,000.
No, but you're saying the umps would get paid from the union, their union, correct?
No. I don't know if it had to be in concert with the union and the league itself.
I think it would be the leagues. It would be the union. That's why I remember when they would get into it with the umps. This would have to be stuff that was stacked into their piggy bank. So if they're only making $100,000 or some $1,000, that's not like NBA players making millions and millions of dollars.
It's not.
You can stack more in the kitty. So yeah, this year you can do it, but next year they may be like, you know what, guys, we can't afford for an entire season to do this for you guys. So that's why I think people, again, maybe I'm giving Joe West too much credit, but I feel like that's a large part what's going on with the NBA Coaches Association.
Well, we haven't heard anybody, I would think, from any league per se, really, besides maybe like college football, come out and make claims like this or make statements like this. At least if they have said it, it's been in private and hasn't gotten public. But Joe West don't care. He gonna say what he want to say anyway. So
the old cowboy.
There were a lot of college coaches that came out and was like, you know what, just let us do this with the players. We can do it. Yeah. There's a lot of college coaches.
Yeah, but they haven't come out and said but nobody came out and said like, yeah, man, that COVID stuff, a lot of people didn't die like that. That's what I'm talking about.
Not that. Not that. All right. Off top. All right. Senator Kelly Loeffler, co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, has written to WA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert to express her opposition to the Black Lives Matter movement and to ask the league to put an American flag on every jersey when the league resumes play later this month. She told Engelbert that she was incredibly disappointed to read about efforts to insert political platform into the league, adding, this true is, we need less, not more political politics in sports in a time when polarizing politics is divisive as ever. Sports has been a power to be a unifying antidote. And now more than ever, we should be united in our goal to remove politics from sports. So this is my thing.
What you got?
I want to use a curse word, but I won't.
Okay.
All right. The players have come out and said, she needs to be out of there. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not going on a partisan thing. She's a big-time Trump backer. And when I look at the DeSantis and the governor of Texas, and if you think about these states that don't even let us know how many COVID victims that they have, why aren't you being transparent? Her and this BS right here. And you're saying, well, let's not insert politics in it, but let's slap the American flag on it when you see the unrest that people have with what has been the status quo here in America. So you're not trying to help, basically. You're like, listen, don't alienate my feelings, but we can continue alienating those other people's feelings. Mm-hmm. You're not now, she said, you know what, let's not do anything. But she didn't say, well, let's put on the American flag. I'm surprised she didn't say let's put on the stars, the bars on that bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Just, to keep it going. Now I'm being facetious. But for someone to act like they're trying to solve an issue when you're not trying to solve an issue, you're just trying to point out that it makes you feel uncomfortable. And I have no problem with you pointing it out, but don't do it under the guise that you're trying to help solve an issue, because what have you been saying about what's been going on in this world? Clearly you haven't been saying a lot, because you wouldn't have stepped out in a black league and said what you just said. Like, this isn't 19s, and I know there wasn't 1940s women's basketball, right, where the female George Mikan was out there, and what's going on, hon? It wasn't those days. Like, this is in some ways the most progressive sports league due to color, ethnicity, sexual orientation, being out front a lot of times on issues similar to this one. This is one of the most progressive leagues probably in the world when you really think about it, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to come in here, Lily and all up in here like, why don't y'all just put the flag on there and just not even listen? What are you even addressing about what's going on here in America? Like, you're saying that Sports shouldn't, and this is the problem where players, NBA particular, when they're talking about, well, should we come back because it's gonna take the foot off the gas when you give people something to distract them. And she's basically saying, yes, just give us something to distract us and leave it out unless it's necessarily what I like, what I call necessarily being a quote unquote patriotic, or well, I should say not patriotic, but quote unquote an American.
Well, this is the same senator who also was involved and should be really investigated. But as you said, Ken, who's a very big Trump supporter, invested for insider trading.
Trap trading. She got out there early.
Yeah, but because with the coronavirus, she was able to sell stocks to companies when she was able to get inside information from the Senate about different companies and dealing with COVID-19. But this is also the lady who went on Fox News and was very upset to see armed black men across the country, and she said that we don't want to have mob rule. If I'm not mistaken, one of the classic cases of like, oh yeah, it's fine when my people. Not even saying like has anything based on race. Just say politics, right? My people are storming the Capitol halls and Capitol Hills across the country and state capitals, and saying like we want to open everything back up, and they have guns, but then they see black folks, black men, black women with them. It's kind of like, whoa, hold on. And this is also very interesting that a politician is saying don't put politics into something when that's literally what you do. You're a politician. You put politics inside of everything. So the one thing I'm very happy to see is a lot of WNBA players. I'm sorry. I know Sue Bird came out, said something very forceful. I believe even the actual players from the
Cheryl Swoops, Skylar Diggins Smith, Natasha Cloud, Alicia Clark, and as you just said, Sue Bird also said. Yeah, it's enough.
And the women's the WNBA PA came out and said like, yeah, you got to go, like get her out. So
she has to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to try to do the same thing, or kind of do the same thing they did with Dawn Sterling. In a sense, kind of like, okay, yeah,
they're gonna buy her out.
We don't want you in here. You got to go.
Here goes your money. Yeah, you go.
And you know what? Before I get to you, Ryan, the biggest thing as we have seen, I believe so far going to college, well, I brought this up before about the young man down in Mississippi State who said like, hey, I'm not playing. And then, I mean, I'm not saying it came down to him while the Mississippi flag came down, but it came down to economics. But players right now are understanding the power that they have. It'll be great to see if the Atlanta Dream, the roster comes out, and maybe it's a majority of them, not all, but majority say, hey, listen, we ain't playing until she's gone. Deuces. I can sit out. I can go over to China. I can go over to Germany. I can go somewhere else and play. You won't have an Atlanta Dream team this year in the WNBA. So what y'all gonna do? So we'll wait to see if the players be able to pull that kind of power move.
Yeah, this kind of sounds a lot like that Laura Ingraham with the shut up and dribble. Like it's just so two-faced. Like, hey, if this was my cause or the thing that my party's behind, you know she wouldn't be saying any of this crap. Yeah. She's only saying it because, hey, I have my agenda. It would be great to have this distraction of sports and let's just slap an American flag on it. What's the problem here? Well, the problem is people play basketball. They're not robots. These athletes don't just go out there and, I have to just forget everything, all the pressures of life, all the things that are going around in current events around the world. I just got to put that all aside so I can distract people. Like, that shouldn't be on any athlete's plate. That's not part of the contract when they signed that, hey, you got to be our distraction whenever we need it, okay? Like, it's like Batman, Superman. Like, we put out the signal, like, get on that court and play. We need a distraction.
Right.
So, to me, it's just like that same old BS where people are just want our athletes to be these robots and our saviors when they're doing their great stuff. But if they start showing off personality or they start voicing their thoughts, shut up and dribble.
But I'll say this too. One, because most of the sports here in America outside of the MLB are predominantly people of color, right? So they definitely don't want to hear their thoughts. But when, similar to when Drew Brees came out and made that misstep a month and a half ago, when somebody comes out and says something political like that, you're with it. Also, the funny thing still, with the situation where you had the Trump going after Bubba Wallace and talking about, y'all going after this flag. And then when the press secretary is pressed on it, she said he doesn't care either way. No. You care about everything, right?
You know that's a lie.
Well, I know, but look, when an MFer was kneeling, you said, "Follow all those SOBs," right? You came flying in there then when somebody was kneeling, right? But now you don't have going all the way back and see, and it aggravates me, and I hope there is a groundswelling of people that are quote unquote Cowboys fans. You need to never be a Cowboy fan. Why Jerry Jones was one of my favorite owners growing up because he would spend all the money or whatever. I've been greatly disappointed in him for years now when he came out and said none of his players can kneel. I've been disappointed. I've never been a Cowboys fan, but I always liked Jerry and the triplets because I never liked the American team, quote unquote garbage. But if you still are attaching your fanaticism to someone that could care less, I don't care how many of his players he's looked out as the people who have helped him out by being the players that he's earned that money off of his back. Yes, he invested his own money, and that franchise, probably 50 times is worth when he bought it in the late 80s.
Oh, absolutely.
What it is now, right? Because I think he had to put all his chips in to get that from being an oil man, all right? But just to see this, like when people back out and it's like, no, you had your chest out a minute ago. Where's your chest at now? You know what I'm saying? And it just goes to the point where we're trying to sit here and show you this biasness when people were like, don't do politics. But then when the politics it's leaning their way, as the tenor was with Trump coming into office and Colin Kaepernick kneeling. And the crazy point is this too, and I know this isn't the flip. Ben Davis the show. But it's funny because you saw this thing that happened in Indiana with the young black man with his friends and a group of white guys accosted him, right? And just looking at these fools and their rage, and it's like, you know what this is? This is what happens when you let someone who is bucking every norm that we have ever had sit in power for 3.5 years. The pendulum, it didn't just swing the other way. That bad boy flipped the other way and hung over in the opposite direction because
the wire got stuck on that side.
We've been running on crazy for 3.5 years. And now, and the crazy thing was the people that the crazy was helping, now in the last 4 months, it swung away from them. It was like, wait, I thought I had it. And now, especially when you see the country and the world leaning in like, you know what? No. The Washington football team. Dog, we've been calling that damn thing the Washington football team for years. A decade, basically.
I heard when you guys started doing that. I
know that's just the slurs. Yeah. Dude, this is a crazy point. When I still see people on ESPN say that name, because it always aggravated me, that why do y'all still call it the Washington football? And I know they sent out a memo like, you guys just need to go ahead and say it. I still would have called it the Washington football team. Why would we just now waking up that someone's like, yeah, the skin of their color should be the name of a team. Like, are you out of your effing mind? And good.
No, I was going to say, I was actually watching Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, and Skip Bayless kind of broke down. Yeah, Skip. He kind of broke down how the owner, who's a super racist,
Dan Snyder.
Whoa, doubling up. He's a super rapist?
No, super
he was
racist.
Running around with Jeffrey Epstein like he said a super. I'm like, whoa.
Racist.
A super rapist, racist.
Right? No, I'm talking about the original owner of the Washington.
Oh, yeah, no. The original.
The original.
They was like the last team to actually have black players.
Not even that. I mean, the team was first called the Boston Braves, and then they moved into Fenway, and he's like, oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's call them the Red. You know what? And it was all based upon the movies and stuff. That
good old Boston.
Yeah. And, oh man. And it grew up. I mean, and that came from the old Western movies that was made, and what they would call Native Americans in those movies, and that like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and call them that. But even going back to the senator. Just read the room. What's happening around the world? Really the world. But what's happening around sports right now. Washington. Dan Snyder said the team would never change his name. They're changing the name. You know why? Because money came in and said, change the name. $650 billion worth of investments tied to that team or organization, whatever the case may be. Said, make the call, change the name. And that's what's happening. And then for you to come out and say, you know what? Black lives don't matter. Yeah, I'm going to write this letter. They ain't even stop that. Read the room, lady. Read the room. So
She doesn't care about the room, dude.
she doesn't, and you know what? I think she's up for re-election. I think this year too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna check on that. And she's gonna have a very, very hard time if she is up for re-election.
Especially if our girl doesn't get vice president.
Yeah.
Stacey, go get that Senate seat. All right, go get that Senate seat. All right, like go ahead and get that, and then sit out and wait. We're gonna get you in that office sooner or later.
Yep. All right, Ryan, what you got?
For my off top, baseball schedule released, and we obviously have been talking about how this thing could just get shut down any second when it comes to baseball. But let's just pretend for a minute that we're going to get some baseball, and they're going to play these 60-game seasons, and it's going to be, as we talked about, you're playing teams in your region, 40 games, probably all divisional, I believe, unless like a random team is kind of in your area, and then 20 games interleague play with the same division that you are in. So if you're American League Central, you play in the NL Central, vice versa. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you've seen the White Sox schedule. I've been looking at like the Cubs schedule and just kind of getting a little bit excited and feeling like this is going to be kind of fun if this season goes through, because it's going to be a lot of divisional games, a lot of regional games. And I think even though some divisions around the league are a little bit weaker than others, there should be a lot of heated contests in these 60-game sprint.
I definitely think so. That's why I'm very I'm looking forward to the season, because it is going to be, and now say this is like you said, Ryan, if the season happens. The 60 game sprint is going to be outstanding. Can I use, can I see less of White Sox Royals? Of course I could. I don't need to see all that. You know what I'm saying? I would go and give them another 3 games with the Cubs. I don't know. I have them some competitive, you know what I'm saying? But
who's going to play the Royals?
I don't care. They shouldn't be in. They moving out to the minor leagues. Moving to the minor leagues so they get better.
They can play the Pirates. Dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, I mean, looking at the schedule, I've been excited because, listen, baseball is my favorite sport, so I'm going to be excited regardless, right? I wish I would be out there, but that's not going to happen. But I'm so amped about these 60 games and what's going to happen, even with the specialty games like the White Sox going up against the St. Louis Cardinals, out in the Field of Dreams game in Iowa. That's going to be a cool little thing. But, man, just to see these guys go out there and play for these 60 games. Now, the one thing, and we've said this 1,000 times, is, man, we expect to probably see quite a few injuries because these guys have to kick it in and they know what they're playing for and how short of a time they are playing it in. So I'm hoping that we don't see a lot of injuries, but, man, I'm with you, Ryan. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm super excited. 60 games with the Cubs, being able to play against the Brewers all the time, and the Cardinals and the Pirates and the Reds. That's going to be super, super sweet. I love it. Almost to the point of like, man, I would like to see a lot more of this when everything is past us. Like, just give me a lot more of, AL versus NL Central just within the Central little rivalries. I think that's pretty cool.
Real quick, George Preston Marshall was the Washington owner.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know as far as seeing this moving forward, because I still like to see teams play, a team that I root for, and even including the Cubs, play teams that are from other regions in the country, so you can see talent versus talent.
Mm-hmm.
If you just made it regional, what you would be taken away from seeing them play the NL.
I just want to see a little bit more. Just give me
the
a
AL
little
East.
more.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
They can't take a few games away from divisional rivals as long as you're playing the equal amount of games with whoever else that you're playing to make it to no one's is benefiting from their schedule. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really been in the mind state to really get amped up about sports.
I just hope it happens. I just hope these leagues happen. There's been too many stories.
Are you guys going to be like, let's say July 24th, locked into that TV, watching opening day?
Yeah, I am. I just hope it happens. I just hope it happens.
Ken doesn't look like he's going to be watching. He might catch some highlights later.
I'll be watching. It has nothing to do with that. Actually, July 24th is my birthday.
Yeah. So
and
it's
I'll be
even
like,
better, man. Get you some cold ones, man. Oh, that's right. You ain't drinking beer no more. Get you some
"Man, I'm not
wine.
drinking beer.
Get you some
What?
wine.
No, he's got the cold White Claws.
I don't even
Cold
drink White Claw anymore. I drink
What?
True.
What? What happened?
No. This
Oh,
that brand. I drink Truly for the most part.
Oh, he's not a
That
White Claw
brand
guy.
stinks.
All right, so
By the way, if you like Corona, they actually have a real nice seltzer.
yeah,
Oh, really?
I've had it.
Yes.
Does it taste like
Good.
Corona?
The tropical lime one, that flavor does. It's really nice. 90 per can instead of 100.
Mm.
Save another 10 calories.
There you go, Ken.
I'm good.
Well, I know I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be glued to
Come
the
on,
TV.
get that smoker out. Get those wings going.
Yeah,
The
come on,
Truly
Ken.
flying.
Why not?
Maybe a Truly great weekend.
All right, you want to know really why not?
Yeah, why not? You got less than a minute.
No. Oh, I got listen to it. All right, real quick. I'm doing work yesterday, real quick.
Okay.
My phone rings. It's my mother. I'm like, all right. I click. I thought I click it. She called right back. I'm like, wait, did I click it off? Because I'm never that rude to people. I let it ring. I just don't want to hear the buzzing or whatever. Come to find out, she texted me. I didn't look at it. I go upstairs after. I was like, yeah, mom hit me twice. What's going on? So I'm like, damn, there's something going on. I got to check.
No,
my mom leaves a message. She's like, Aaron's my brother, younger brother that passed.
Yeah.
His first wife basically is doing something on his birthday, which is 25th today after my birthday.
All right.
And my mom's like, we're going to hold a memorial for Aaron on Kenneth's birthday. That's it.
You need baseball, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think you do need some baseball then.
I know. I'm gonna tell you what I need to have a vacation, right? Like, man, I need to move. I'm ready to get the hell out of Chicago. All right, especially what's going on with us. It's like everything's on the table right now. All right.
All right, we'll come on back, have more fun. D and Davis Show.
What's up, everybody? It's Cameron Smith from CBS 2 Chicago. You're listening to the D and Davis Show.
Do this contract and do it the right way. I told them what I wanted from the beginning. They brought me, different options. They worked hand in hand with the Chiefs the entire time, and Veach and his team and Coach Reed and all the coaches. And they pretty much just put it out there into the best way that, like I said, that we could be a great team moving forward. And I obviously have the security that I want. It's a exciting time. I'm just glad that I get to continue building this legacy in Kansas City. Obviously, with everything going on in the world with COVID and all this different stuff, to have this security to go into the community and be able to give back. I can't wait to not only build this legacy on the field, but off of it. And I'm excited for the future ahead for not only me, but the Kansas City Chiefs and the communities that have brought me up so far.
D and Davis Show, we are back. It is time to talk about Baby Goat, as Ken likes to call him. I'm going to just start. I'm just going to start calling the man Money Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes signs a 10-year deal. On paper, it says it's worth $450 million. He already had 2 years left on his original rookie deal. So he basically has a 12-year deal with the reported $140 million of it is guaranteed.
For injury purposes.
For injury purposes. But that's kind of like in the bank. I got 140. Boom, that's in the
The
bank.
length of it can be 503.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It can be
The
over
max.
503. The max.
Yeah.
So, and I think the contract is over in 2031. And
Yes.
he is what, 24, 25 years old?
That sound like the future.
Yeah.
I know I'm old.
It's a blink of an eye. That's
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know what it sounds
If
like.
I don't have rocket boots on, we ain't doing right.
Maybe you might have.
Well,
But no,
remember, we were talking about, does he get the salary cap percentage and that stuff? That's not sounding like he's getting that.
No,
Yeah,
he's
but
not. It's only like what like it's set to like 16% of the cap. I mean, it's because the NFL has so much damn money. The cap keep going up.
Are you alluding to, D, that his contract is set to 16% of the cap, is what you're just saying?
I believe it is.
Because Lee Steinberg, friend of the show, we've had him on at least 3 times, if not 4 times, said it's not tied to the cap. But this is my question.
He said it's not tied to the cap?
Yeah, but this is the
How?
question. Is he
Okay.
telling the truth?
Oh,
Because the Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs would not want that to get out, period.
no,
Right?
absolutely not.
They would not want, and ensuring this, again, but will Patrick Mahomes be a good partner with his union members if it's not revealed? And again, I'm only putting that out as a conspiracy theorist, But from what I've seen, they said that his contract isn't. And initially, that was the rumors. Tony chimed in and was like, man, it's tied to the cap. That it's not tied into the cap. But even with that, I'm like, you never know really the machinations of what's going on in the background because it's not like we really get our hands on the real contract.
And Mahomes came out and spoke. He said the two big things he was looking for was security, which he got with the 10-year deal, and then obviously it can be $500 million. And he wanted the Chiefs to have some flexibility to put a good team around him. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like he got shortchanged here. I don't know because if you do 10 divided by 500 mil, that's 50, right? Like the top guys are getting around 40 right now. I feel like 50 in 5 years is not going to be enough for him.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to even go with that, Ryan. He's looking to be Tom Brady with more cash in his pocket.
True.
Like that's really what he's looking for, and with more ability. So actually, he could cover up for some of the failures of the talent around him.
So he's heard your baby goat, and he's knows.
Looking to dog. You can't take a. You got to re-sign the defensive lineman that was killing in the Super Bowl. You got listen. You can't. You don't want to sit there and listen. You could set it up to where
Chris Jones.
Thank you, Chris Jones. Yeah. You could set it up to where. If it looks like you're going to go through a down season and a half, you could front load his ass, right? But you know what? Let's take this money from back here.
Restructure it.
Let's give it to you now. Because if we give it to you now while we're down, we can pay other players. And when he gets older, when he starts to get in his mid to late 30s, he's probably not going to want to just totally break the bank anyway. And you'll probably see even more Tom Brady-esque as far as like, I'm just trying to win a couple more deals. Yeah, I'm just trying to win some more before I get out of here, right? Like whatever we can do to make me win and get out of here, that's what I'm trying to do. But I mean, to me, I get what you're saying, Ryan, and you're right, right? There's nothing wrong with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But the Chiefs are giving him this added security. He's making more, his guaranteed money is more than any quarterback, any player in the NFL right now. Right?
Yeah, right now. That. Right now, because you know somebody's going to eventually come back and pass him.
No, it's going to be 2 to 3 years, probably 4 to 5, before a QB passes 140 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Like, just think about that. Because we've now in the range where guys are getting 100 mil guaranteed, right? Like some of these quarterbacks getting 100 mil guaranteed. Dak probably, if Dak would sign now, he probably wouldn't get 100. He'd get probably like 80 to 90 something, but he wouldn't get 100 mil guaranteed. So that's done already. Now you're in the baseball numbers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, where it's just like, if you end up being healthy, you got $400 million, and definitely you could have inked out another 30 to 40. But one, you get Andy Reid. Andy Reid says he doesn't plan on going anywhere. But damn near. Listen, 8 years from now, if Andy's tired, whoever his best assistant is going to be that guy that's going to step up. Veach, if Veach is young, if Veach stays there, you got a great general manager already with you. Andy probably goes to an advisory role if he doesn't even listen, forget Andy Reid and the Eagles. That may as well be over. As far as his legacy is now. Yeah. His legacy is which is weird because went to Kansas City, he was like, you should have took a year off, man. He did it. But now his legacy is with Kansas City. You look at this, just how stable with the Hunt family, with Veach, with Andy Reid, how stable that organization. It's never been one of these organizations. You can go back to when we was kids with Marty Schottenheimer being there. Mm-hmm. It's never been flippity flop. It's always been a good organization that just couldn't get past the AFC Championship game for the most part.
And now they
Marty Schottenheimer. Yeah, and now you got the killer. You got he's 2 years in and had his worst game of his career was the Super Bowl. Shorty sat there and didn't even have bad games really against Tennessee and the Texans. Really, it's his teammates that was messing up. And they were down double digits, dog. And he came
a killer defense.
He came back on that ass.
Second half,
man.
What's my name?
And this will be, I think we don't even think about it. This will be really his third season in the NFL. Like he said, the first year I didn't even know how to play football, right?
Yeah, basically.
The third, and then the thing is, you have Andy Reid, one of the greatest godchildren of Walsh that's ever come, as far Bill Walsh ever. He's come out of Bill Walsh and is a Machiavellian when it comes to offense, whatever. And then one of the things I was saying too, I know I mentioned this before, man, we used to get on Andy Reid like, man, you need to stick to that damn run. Andy Reid saved Patrick Mahomes by sticking to the script in the Super Bowl. Like, you see the graduation of Andy Reid into being a greater coach, because old Andy Reid would be like, Donovan, start slinging it, right? And be like, no, dude, stick to the script. We still got time. Keep it close, because you got the ultimate weapon, ultimate warrior, basically, at QB. Just keep it close. He's not like, this was the first time we've ever seen Patrick Mahomes nervous. He had the yips.
Yeah,
at the beginning. That we've never seen, and you could understand it. He's never played. No, they're not playing games like this in Texas Tech.
Biggest game of the sports calendar.
Exactly. And then the second half, he's like, I got this figured out. Let's go ahead and go. And boom, then they go to explode. They win the Super Bowl. So I got the numbers right here in front of me, kind of broken down year by year. So this year is a $10 million bonus, but his base salary, check this out, is $825,000, right? All right. So then it just goes up crazy from there. 2021, get a base salary of $990,000, but his roster bonus, 21.7.
But see, that's what I'm saying through the text line. Yeah. That's what I sent through the text line yesterday. Mm-hmm. That they were probably going to use the bonuses to get his cap number down. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when we were going through the text and I was saying that.
The Bears do with Jay Cutler.
Yeah, the bonus doesn't hit the cap. So all they got to do is, all right, here, we're going to pay him off, but keep his actual cap number low. And then again, I'm going to let you go back to when years where it may not seem even better. Dude, I front load the hell out of that bonus. I'd be like, you want 35 this year? Right? Like, we ain't doing nothing this year anyway. Here you go, son. Like,
basically. So there is no roster bonus for 2020, but to 2021 is 21. I'm gonna just go down the numbers. Go down based on the year. So 21.7 to 27.4, 34.4, 34.9, 38.9.
And these are all roster bonuses?
Roster bonuses. 38.9, then we have 49.4, then back down to 30.9, 23.9, 22.9, 13.9. But on the base salary with those years, it just incrementally goes up. So 2022, 1.5, then 5.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, $10 million in 2027, 13 million, 20 million, 27 million in 2030, and 2031, the last year of the deal, you get 38,000. So they basically set up, as you said, Kim,
38,000 or 38 million.
I'm sorry, 38 million. I'm sorry, 38 million.
I'm about to say, damn,
that's a drop. You a janitor now.
You got to give us the 10th year.
Right, basically.
We're paying you for now.
So, but like you said, the roster bonus, that's where all the money is at. Boom, that really doesn't hit the cap. And then we're going to incrementally build you out throughout the base salary. And then by the time, you know what, he's, like I said, in 10 years, he'll be 35 years old. The way the NFL is going, you know what I'm saying, you can play until you least 40. All right, we can restructure it. Hell, it might restructure it by the time you turn 32 or 33.
This will be restructured. This will be restructured at least twice.
Yeah.
Before, because the thing is, there will be years to where they have more money. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why not pay some of this Pat Mahomes money off? Because either a key player is hurt, a key player didn't want to stay there. So it's like, you know what? Let's use some more of this money. Right now, you know what? We're not in contention. Let's say listen, the last years of Tyreek Hill being Tyreek Hill as far as that elite athlete that he is, right? You know what? Tyreek's not doing what we thought Tyreek was going to last longer. Tyreek is complaining about his contract. We're going to let Tyreek go. Travis Kelce, and I hate to say this, Travis Kelce got like 5 more years of being Travis Kelce at that, as far as being a tight end in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I believe he's like 30, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
I was about to say, you got to be like close to 30 years old.
So when you were looking at that, all right, so we're not going to have to pay that. And then on top of that, if Beach keeps drafting the way he's drafting, you're going to have players on rookie contracts. If you could do – see, the thing is, if you could do it right – now I'll say this. I think the NFL really needs to go ahead, and they don't have to exempt the entire salary of the quarterback from necessarily the cap. They need to take the quarterback salary out of the cap.
But you know
it's an excuse. It's an excuse to not spend money.
But the thing is, with this contract right here, it's still tied. It still doesn't eat up a lot of the cap. Like you said, it's only like maybe 16% of the cap, because this deal right here, even though he he could potentially get $502 million, it's still cool with the cap. They still going to be able to sign players, good players, to the team or keep good players on the team. It's just the NFL.
And that's what he wanted.
So, yes, he wanted to have a great deal. They'd be able to keep great players on the team.
Real
and
quick,
he was still able to, in a whole host of things, if he was able to live out, he was able to play out the entire contract and get all the incentives, it's still $502 million.
So just to break it down how it works, because I want to be clear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Each team in the NFL is subject to a salary cap. Mm-hmm. To induce players to sign despite this, the team can pay a large signing bonus that the player can keep even if the team releases them. The bonuses affect the salary cap because they are included, but they can be prorated up to 5 years. So that's the thing. Okay. You can sit there and
move it around.
You can move it. You can move it. And there's going to be years to where they're like, we got more money and this team is like, he's going to go through some lean years.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl for 10 years after just winning a Super Bowl.
And Ken, how healthy were they last year on offense? I mean, what if you lose Travis Kelce for the year? What if you lose Tyreek Hill for the year?
Right. Like there's going to be a point where even with his arm, there's going to be a point where he's John Elway and you're going to need a Terrell Davis. Let me put it even easier to you like that. Where his physical abilities will be diminishing and he still will be great. He'll be better than Tom Elway at that age. I don't know if he'll be as durable, but it will be to the point where this money can be shifted to these younger players because he knows, dude, I'm going for Tom. Listen, Tom Brady set that bad boy out real far. People thought Terry Bradshaw, nobody looked at Terry Bradshaw as being as great as Tom Brady. Even though you can look at how great of a coach Chuck Noll was for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it can be compared to Bill Belichick and having phenomenal head coaches and how it benefits you as a player. But nobody thought Tom Brady was going to win 6, right?
No.
Like, nobody thought Tom Brady was going to win 6. And now it's like, listen, let me at least get 4 to 5, right?
Man,
and he could have won 9 if he went undefeated.
Yeah, I know, right? Could have won.
He wasn't. You know why? Because he wasn't Baby Goat.
Now, looking at, I just pulled this up from sporttrack.com. I'm looking at the cap hit, the 2020 cap hit, dollar hit, and the percentage of it. So right now, Dak Prescott is number 1. He has $31.4 million to the making this upcoming year.
Franchise tag.
Let's go to the franchise tag, and the percentage of the cap is 14.3. Next is Russell Wilson, 31 million, 15.53. Jared Goff, 28.8 million, 14.15%. They get Jimmy Garoppolo and Phillip Rivers round at the top 5. So with this, I think he's going to go up to he's going to have 16% of the cap. I think that's what I've seen.
What you could do is
it's either 15 or I think it's 16 because I think he's going to have a slight bigger percentage of a cap hit compared to Russell Wilson, who has the highest.
You can sit there and prorate. So let's say the cap hit is $30 million. All right, you know what? We're going to prorate this and we're going to pay you $10 million, or let's say $15 million this year, $15 million next year. And then prorate next year's because it's up to 5 years. So the only problem will be towards the end, and if he ever gets to a point of necessarily deferred money, and maybe I'm even wrong with that. But being able to prorate his money, because like you were just pointing out, D, how his real cap, his cap hit for that season is so low. Mm-hmm. So basically, instead of being a quarterback that should be making $40 million a year, going to what Ryan's point was earlier, he's going to be making $30 million a year. And they're moving around how he can make
money. Yeah.
That's really what they're doing. They're moving around how they can keep him at a $30 million quarterback, but make him the highest paid player ever in NFL history.
Now, I have a question for you all. So we have one Mr. Lamar Jackson, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a favorite besides Kansas City to go at least to the Super Bowl. Let's say if Lamar Jackson does what Patrick Mahomes just did, have an outstanding season, win the MVP, also wins the Super Bowl.
Back to back?
I'm talking about you have Patrick Mahomes doing 1 year, Lamar Jackson doing this upcoming season, right? Let's just say
but I'm saying Lamar winning MVP again.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
MVP, Super Bowl MVP the following season, back to back.
All that, right? Now, this is Lamar Jackson's third season in the league?
Yes.
This is third season, right? Going into his third season, right? So you can always go in and say, hey, let's talk business. Let's go ahead and sign you long term. Let's say Lamar Jackson does what I just said he does. Is there any way possible he can get close to the contract of Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, if he's slinging it close to Mahomes, maybe.
I don't know. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Lamar Jackson does it in a different kind of way. So, Ken, you say
yes,
no way. No way.
No, because the real thing with Lamar Jackson is going to be that guaranteed money. I'll be honest with you. If Lamar Jackson gets over close to $200 million, he won. Because, again, listen.
You talking about the entire contract or you talking about guaranteed money?
No, the entire contract. Now, put it like this. They can sit there and make it higher than that if he is healthy, but we know the chances of him being healthy playing the style that he plays is fleeting, to say the least. Okay. All right?
Yeah, you wouldn't even want a scrambling quarterback for 10 years.
That's the thing. That's the point that I'm trying to make, Ryan. So what Lamar Jackson would have to do is he would have to give up something to give it a longer length because the injury risk,
career.
The injury risk of how he plays. Now, I think at one point he'll be more of a pocket passing QB coming out of Louisville, Petrino. He played in the pro style offense. All right. He can be accurate. It's still not.
And he was better from year one to year two.
Yeah, I think I think in all fairness, in his first 2 years, he's been the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. And I don't think I'm lying when I say that. I think actually see the thing with him is he doesn't. He throws.
He can't push the ball downfield.
No one can do that. But he throws open. He's still, to a certain degree, even though he's better than Cam was, isn't predicting necessarily all the time where that player is necessarily going to be as far as 1, 2, 3. He's supposed to be here, right? And that may also be the trust with the players that he has because he doesn't have the same quality of players that Patrick Mahomes has. I think Deshaun Watson, even though Deshaun Watson's injury history. Yeah. But the fact that he can be closer to a traditional quarterback provides him with the ability to make a little bit more money than what Lamar Jackson will be because both of them are huge injury risks from what we've seen already in their careers with Deshaun having 2 blown knees so far from college and 1 in the pros. But still, I think he's going to be the player, especially with when we were sitting there talking on the score. And the dude that called up, we said this on Dan Davis' show. Dog, Deshaun Watson was in Chicago. He would own Chicago. It would be like Derrick Rose. It'd be even bigger than Derrick Rose when Derrick Rose was Derrick Rose. And just to
everybody's a Bears fan in Chicago.
Exactly, dude. It'd be Black Lives Matter for the Bears all throughout that bad boy. They'd be like, you know what? Forget it. Black Lives Matter. It would be because Chicago, you give us somebody like that, right? Where especially he's gritty too. It's not even like he out here finessing and all. He's a slim dude, and he's like, man, I'm about to run up on you right now to try to get in that end zone. But I think there's injury concerns. And then one name you didn't risk, a lot of people mentioned, and a lot of people will say, man, it's going to be good for Dak. I mean, it may be a little bit better. And mind you, Dak and the Cowboys are arguing because Dak wants to get back out for that new TV money, and he wants a shorter deal, and they want a longer deal. So in the argument, in a way, it helps the Cowboys because they'd be like, look, your man's over here did 10 years, right?
Yeah. He's not getting the highest annual average he can get. He wants a good team around him.
That's what happened. When you taste that sweet home Alabama early in your life, you be like, man, I want some more of that.
See, the only thing I think with Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, I kind of like their infrastructure and culture better than I like Houston's.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what
Who doesn't, D? Who doesn't, D? It's a hot take right there. Tell me more.
No. But I'm just trying to say, I think, to your point, I think Deshaun is a more complete quarterback, and he'd probably be able.
He can definitely win in the pocket, right?
But I think Lamar and what Baltimore have, I think they have a chance to just win.
I'm with you. I don't
think Houston. Yeah, I
totally agree with you.
I don't want Deshaun Watson to turn into, and I love Warren Moon because Warren Moon one is the greatest, but I don't want him to turn into Warren Moon.
I can't say he won't, D.
Lamar Jackson is with Baltimore, man. dude, they honestly, they could potentially be the chief, no pun intended, rival to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be them too. That's really it.
At one point, it will be. At one point, it will be. But
I think it could be right now. I think it could be.
I don't think. I think is there's a chance for a Super Bowl hangover, and there's also just a chance for injury with both of these players or important players on their team. But just before Ryan chimes in, I don't think ownership in Houston will allow Bill O'Brien to run off Deshaun Watson. You're not getting a DeAndre Hopkins situation here because he's a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So I don't if they get to a point where they have to choose between Deshaun Watson and Bill O'Brien, it's gonna be Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Because they in Houston and he's money in the damn bank. You know what I'm saying? So he's the most important player. He maybe even more, but it's him and Andre Ware. Well, not Andre Ware. What was the receiver? Andre from Miami.
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson. Thank you, Ryan.
Johnson. Yeah.
He's the most important player in that franchise, either before or after Andre Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Because Andre Johnson was there when they had nothing. They had Tony Baselli coming in from the expansion draft, hurt. That never was the Tony Baselli that he was. You know what I'm saying, with the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? So DeAndre Johnson was there through a lot of lean years.
He was.
And
I loved him.
Yeah, and he is. And at times he was top 3, if not top 1 receiver in the NFL. I mean, the only person he had was Matt Schaub.
Yeah, no.
All right. I mean, just saying that, right? That's the only person he had as far as his quarterback.
And David Carr with his brain melting from all the sacks.
Just getting hit. Yeah, getting hit. Mm-hmm. So I think they will choose, because for fan-wise, they will choose him over going along with Bill O'Brien, and Bill O'Brien has done nothing. Bill O'Brien has pitches on the ownership, but he's done nothing.
Yeah, I think with Deshaun, you're going to have to try to keep him as happy as possible and pay him as close to Mahomes as you can if you're Houston.
He's going to get paid more. Annually, he's going to get paid more.
Probably. Deshaun, you're right. He has the slighter frame, the more injury risk.
And nobody on the team to soak money. You have to pay Tyreek. You have to pay the defensive lineman that you mentioned earlier, and you were
Chris Jones.
Thank you, Chris Jones, because I always get his name mixed up. You have to pay Tyrann Mathieu, who you just paid. Yeah. All right, they got people you have to pay, and people that are be coming up, because Sammy Watkins is only there for another year, right? So
he's on the same deal like Allen Robinson, I believe.
Yeah. So remind you, Allen Robinson.
I think he has one more year left.
He has one more year. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay, and also some of these guys they will bring them back depending on their health. So he has talent around him to be like, I see he has talent around him to be like, I see how y'all do when y'all drafting. You know what? All right, let's do this. Where Deshaun Watson does not need to have any faith in what's going on in Houston, basically, and can be like, give me all my money up front, please, sir.
Yeah, just in case.
Right.
Just in case.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Just in case everything burned down, I got paid. Because how old is Deshaun Watson? He got to be 26 maybe? Is he?
He's going to be 25.
You about 25?
Yeah.
About 25?
So about the same age.
Man, I wonder if he'll ever go to Houston. I'm just not going to resign.
24.
He's 20.
He's going to be 25 in September.
I was supposed to say. So it's the same as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'll be like, what if he actually comes out like, man, nah, I'm good. I'm not even going to resign.
You got to get that first.
Maybe somebody going to give it to him. Somebody going to give it to him.
But I just meant it's always better. Let me get paid and traded rather than let me get traded. Depending on that, for another team. I mean, listen.
They had traded him before they let him walk. Obviously,
it's a team.
He's going to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to get paid. But I'm just saying, I'd rather have that money in the bank and negotiate from having that money in the bank to a certain degree. Because that money with football, you never know. Listen, again, I think even if he has to stay in the pocket, he can end up being a great. I will say this: great NFL quarterback. Even though he still is a C open guy to a certain degree too, but I still
he needs his legs a little bit to make.
He does, but still, let me get all of that because the physicality, and I blew my knee out twice.
Yeah,
right. I was talk real quick when talking to Phil Thompson. We talking about from the Sun Times, the Tribune. One of the things that he asked me about, playing in sports. And I told him, like, I blew out my knee in junior year. So he's like, yeah, you didn't play senior year? I was like, no, I can't. I had surgery 6 months later. I was back my senior year, right? But I was like how I knew I didn't want to play in college because I didn't want to lose my other knee, right? I was like, people used to ask me, like, you know, try. That's to say, like, I could have played in college. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that I was not going to go out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like my roommates, one of my boys and my roommate went out. And actually, no, two of my roommates and one of my guys went out at Southern. And it's like, you know, I was like, hell no. Like, I've lost skin in the game, right? Like, I'm not about to be out here too bad, wobble or something. Like, I'm not. Like, it's not worth it. The benefit's not necessarily there. So I look at Deshaun Watson and knowing that you blow out your knee twice, you're lucky, and even though knee injuries these aren't like the Gail Sayers torn ACLs back in the days, where they're trying to stitch it back together or whatever, but still, you're lucky to be back at such an ultimate level. You don't want to keep gambling and playing, messing with that. You want to get.
Didn't they have a couple of years ago like a sternum issue?
Yes,
like he couldn't even fly. They had to bus him. Like,
yes.
Get your money, young man.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he gonna get it. He's definitely gonna get it. I'm just interested. I did see him put out a tweet of a meme with a kid smiling like, you know what I'm saying?
Little D face on that kid too.
Yeah, he did. There was a lot of D face on that kid.
Right.
So I'm just so interested and curious to see what his deal is. I'm interested to see what all these young cats' deals are. You know what I'm saying? You got Lamar,
I'm interested to see when they
Sean.
fire Bill O'Brien so that they can pay.
Man, I don't know why they just won't do it. They could have did it like 2 years ago. They just won't do it.
It's like they keep promoting him. BGM.
I don't get it.
I'm going to tell you something. You know what's crazy? If he ends up being as good as he seemed like his first year starting, project if he comes to the league and he kills, the amount of money that Trevor Lawrence will be able to make.
Ooh.
Think about that. Think about that.
And Trevor Lawrence,
he's the golden boy.
He is the real deal.
And he has the right complexion. But like, if he snapped off,
but he the real deal, man.
Comes to the pros and continues playing at that level, dog, he gonna get paid.
Who is the last quarterback you saw in college, and you looked at him right there? It's like that dude right there is beyond money. Because I think Patrick Mahomes is kind of like
outside of Trevor Lawrence.
Outside
of Trevor Lawrence.
I think Trevor Lawrence is that dude when he comes out. I think he is that dude. Who was that dude before that you saw in college? Was like, man, that dude right there, it actually panned out and it was 100% legit. Now, granted, we don't know what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence. I think that dude is a real deal. I think he is going to be the man.
I think he is too, especially if he ends up with a good coach.
Yes, that dude is unbelievable. I'm trying to think of a quarterback that I felt like that coming out of college.
Two that only come to mind are Cam Newton, Andrew Luck for me.
I was going to say the same thing. Cam Newton, and I knew that he was going to be impactful. I didn't know how it was going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if I thought he'd be best quarterback.
Right, and he at one season he was. And Andrew Luck, I thought Tua could be really good, but I was more of a Trevor Lawrence guy over Tua. So it would have to go back to those places. Like what I'm gonna tell you, like Jared Goff and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Like what?
I'm just trying to
I know Ryan was in the old West then, so he was seeing some of it. But who was watching those games?
I mean, I thought personally Aaron Rodgers was gonna be great, but I don't think many people thought from college or anything like that he was going to be this guy.
Whoa. Are you saying you thought he was going to be great while Cal? Under Tedford?
Oh, yeah. I fell in love with him in that draft.
Wow, that's a lie. But it's not true.
You weren't there.
It's just because of Tedford quarterbacks. Like when you look at because remember, he wasn't even throwing the way he's throwing now.
Yeah, everybody thought the mechanics were bad.
We're going to come back and we're going to jump into a little bit of the NBA. D and Davis' show.
Yo, what up? It's your man, Jay Illa, official Chicago Bears DJ, and you are listening to the D and Davis Show. Turn it up.
Here's the NBA Commissioner, Adam Silver, on all the many COVID concerns.
We won't be surprised when they first come down to Orlando if we have some additional players to test positive. What would be most concerning is once players enter this campus and then go through our quarantine period, then if they were to test positive or we would have any positive tests, we would know that there's, in essence, a hole in our bubble, or that our quarantine is not, that our campus is not working in some way. So that would be very concerning. Certainly, if we had any sort of significant spread at all within our campus, we would be shut down again.
Dear Davis Show, last segment. Definitely got to talk a little bit about the NBA and the bubble, or two bubbles, which Brian Windhorst reported to ESPN today that it seems that it could be likely that the bubble in the NBA is actually, in Chicago, I apologize, is actually going to take effect due to the fact that the NBA was here during the All-Star game and they know the logistics of the city, and they think it may provide them with a little bit more advice or information as far as how to handle keeping those players in the bubble, quote unquote. We do have players like former Bull, which again goes to show to management's problems, Spencer Dinwiddie, saying he's not going to play, right?
I ain't going to Chicago.
He was going to average 20 and almost 7 assists.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we can't keep him around here, right?
Right.
But you have a lot more players, DeAndre Jordan, because these players tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, deciding not to go into the bubble. We've had NBA teams that were in their home practice arenas decide to shut it down because they're getting too many infected cases. But the thing is now, what do you think about necessarily, one, the initial bubble? You have Dwight Howard coming out and basically talking about players, and we heard Damian Lillard say this a few days earlier, who are really going to be committed to basically keep the bubble as sanitized as possible, as far as not going out or doing anything that can compromise anybody else inside of the bubble. So what do you think about that? And what do you also think about about the fact that it seems more likely that the 8 teams that are not going to be included in the playoffs are going to get some run here in Chicago in September?
As I said on the score, when we filled in for Les Grobstein last Friday morning, why? Who cares? I don't really care about what these other 8 teams are doing. What did I say? Who care about these little funky 8 teams? I don't care about them. I mean, I care about them and their well-being, yes. But seeing them play basketball, no. Why? Why? What is the purpose of this? Now, I know you said earlier that, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I know collective bargaining and sharing within all these leagues, saying everybody get a little piece of that money. So I guess they feel like, hey, if my money, if I'm a team owner, it's like, I hope y'all put these games on in this bubble. Damn it, I want something over here too. That's my money. So if that's the case,
I want to benefit from it.
I want to benefit from it.
I want to earn.
But you're still getting money from it. You still benefited from it, even if your team is not playing.
They haven't, but no, but you don't.
I'm talking about the revenue. I'm talking about the revenue within the league.
Well, one, these teams would at least get the benefit of fulfilling their regular season television contracts.
True, that's the biggest thing. Yes, I do understand.
They at least have that money to help them to go through what could be, one, a season that's going to start later than what it was going to start if COVID-19 had never come into America, infected Americans or anything like that. If the pandemic had never taken place, I guess is what I should say. So owners are trying to sit there and make sure that they tighten the belt enough so that they can sit there and make it. So this at least could, one, give them a little bit now before even in December, if the NBA restarts and restarts, that they can start to make money then. So, and there are, like you just alluded to, one of the things that Brian Windhorst reported is owners are like, listen, that as Kendrick Perkins said, that $1 billion bubble, even though it's not a $1 billion bubble, but that $1 billion bubble, I'm providing money towards that $1 billion bubble. Yeah. What are you going to do to help me out? And again, and one of the things when we were sitting there for Les Grobstein on 6-7 to score, the point that I was trying to make, I think it's really beneficial for Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Easley to really see. And I know, like, the Jim Boylan thing is one thing, but at least they sit there and provide the owners with what they wanted. But it's really looking at what they have and looking at, really, I won't even just say what they have, but how they react.
Yeah.
You get to know how these players react. And I said the same thing about the Detroit Pistons under a new front office management.
Yeah,
I think teams like that, I think it definitely helps, because you're looking at this through a totally new lens compared to teams that already know what they have and in some ways may have already made their decisions already.
Yeah, I was definitely going to go to that. I was going to bring it up, especially with Detroit having a new GM. So, yeah, those teams, they want to kind of see what they have before the start of the season even happens. But, in the bigger grand scheme of things, the bigger landscape, but this is entertainment. And a lot of these teams that are going to be playing in this 18 bubble are not entertaining. They are not good. That's the reason why they're not down in the $1 billion bubble. So, I mean, yeah, people are going to take it because people want to see some type of sports, and they're going to watch it. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. Just the curiosity of it. I might watch a little bit of it, but after that, it's kind of like, whatever. But I mean, it still comes down to the simple point of, are we 100% certain that these leagues are going to happen? Are they going to happen? Because even Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA, he's even come out and said, like, hey, listen, man, we get these numbers. These numbers are a little bit too high. We gonna shut this down.
He has
to, right?
Yes.
He's not going to force nobody to do anything, right? He's not crazy like that. He's not going to do that.
He's going to look, but it'll look at it when it comes to concerns about a human being, it'll look as if he doesn't care. Because initially he said there were going to be a lot of cases and we're going to have to play through it.
Right.
But then the cap is, well, how many cases is it before we're like, that's too many. We're risking too many people.
I don't think it's tied to how many. I think it's going to be tied to who.
No, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. I can't argue with that.
Who gets it? Yeah, who gets it? Because if you have a lot, and I think I've brought this up 1,000 times before.
LeBron's going to be safe. LeBron is going to make sure. Listen, LeBron is going to have
y'all stay away from me.
Right. AD's going to have to talk to somebody to talk to LeBron James.
I mean, so that's what you have to. I think you're right, Ken. Obviously, how many cases going to hit to the point where you're like, okay, all right, we need to step back from this. But also, too, it's going to be who gets it and how it affects the team. Because listen, let's say a few stars get it, and people on the outside is kind of like, man, I ain't trying to see the LA Lakers without LeBron James or Anthony Davis. Man, turn this off. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have that when you come to fans. They're very finicky. Besides being fanatics, they're finicky too. So, yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen. But as far as the bubble, you're talking about the health thing, or people going to be able to, or players going to be able to stick with it. Hey, man, listen, we see right now what's happening in this country. A lot of people are not adhering to the rules. Just the rules of decency, the rules of just kind of like making sure everybody is okay. Then people are not doing that. We see, I don't know how many videos of people arguing with people or trying to fight people who don't have a mask on inside of stores. Saw a video of a guy pulled a gun on somebody because they told him to put a mask on. So you're going to have some people, not saying the NBA players are going to do anything irrational or anything like that, but you're going to have some cats that's going to be a little loose, and they're going to be like, man, we going to be all right. And next thing you know, something bad can possibly happen. So if it's all a risk, man. It's all a risk. I've said it plenty of times. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. I think these guys.
I don't think any of us think that. I don't think any of us think that.
Yeah, I think the men and women, especially the WNBA. Did you see the video of supposedly what the WNBA, like wherever the bubble they living in, like the laundry room? Something looked like. It looked like something out of the Jets almost. Like something like like a mousetrap on a wall. And
I thought they were at the Wild World. I thought they were at the Wild World of Sports too.
Man, listen, that video looked hideous. I've been in some trappy laundromats. That looked like a trappy laundromat to me. Like, why are you doing these sisters like that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like things like that, man. It's gonna be like, man, this is nuts. I don't know if I want to do this or not, because you're worried about your physical, but now you gotta start worrying about the mental. Hey.
Or listen, this is a point that I've been making. We're seeing that now, how this can affect your heart. Mm-hmm. We know it can affect your nervous system.
Your kidneys.
These are all going to be things that are used in negotiations against players, especially if they exhibit the fact that they have long-standing afflictions from what take place.
I see you had.
Nobody's going to come into arbitration like
COVID last year.
You don't blow it out. Max. You don't blow it out like you used to blow it out running them bases. It's going to be like, man, your lung capacity is not what it used to be, right? Especially, listen, this is another thing too. We don't act like they take personal standards. They know what your lung capacity used to be.
Oh, absolutely. They know everything.
So, especially going back to John Paxson, want to take a DNA test on your ass, but / Eddie Curry. But just, I mean, when you like, that's my thing. On top of players risking themselves, you're risking your future, because you don't know how this is going to long. I was watching Mr. Quest, CNN Roman editor, and also he sometimes fills in. It's a British cat.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on there that he caught COVID.
Stock market dude?
I believe so. He caught COVID in April.
Oh, he had COVID?
He had COVID.
Oh,
Remember there was a joke out there? Remember it was a joke out there about how many, I think it was like a Fox joke, how many CNN and people, like CNN was changing COVID about their anchors getting catching or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is, of course, after Cuomo. Mm-hmm. I forgot which lady.
Brooke Baldwin.
Yeah, Brooke Baldwin or whatever. So he was on there and he was talking about how we're kind of finding out that people are afflicted by some ICU condition that people usually have when it affects your balance, your memory, coughing, and so on and so forth, a lot longer than when you're necessarily dealing with it while you're in the hospital. So he was saying, and it's funny because it goes back to me saying that I think I may have it because my balance kind of, and I'm like, one thing I like about Kelsey, she has a great balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. But that is, I have to tell you. But my balance hasn't been the same, right? Like my balance hasn't been the same. That's with me blowing out a knee, and I had to readjust, learning how to balance myself on the knee. But saying that the doctors basically say we don't know how long it's going to take. And it basically, not to say it won't heal, but it may take a lot longer. And this just goes to the thing we were saying earlier in the show about we don't know enough when we're talking about Joe West. We don't know enough about this to sit here and be like, man, it is what it is. Yeah. Because it may not be what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
you never know. You never know how it's going to affect you. And that goes back to my point of, like you said, Ken, I think we all agree with this. Not even think, I know we do. Is the risk worth the reward? And you're seeing players step out. Ryan, I don't know why I thought about you when I saw this. It was
greatest athlete.
Yeah, that's true. Sean Doolittle. I think his first name is Sean Doolittle, the pitcher from for the Washington Nationals, and how he was going off like, man, we're not even doing anything. We're not doing what we're supposed to do in this country to make sure sports come back. He's like, right. I don't even know what I'm going to do because my wife has underlying conditions, and I haven't got my test back. You start to hear all these other teams canceling practice because
9 days
shutting down.
Yeah.
9 days before the tests come back, which you have to understand with contract tracing. And this isn't just the MLB. This is in America.
It's America, period. Right.
Your guy tells you we got all these tests. You can't do contract tracing if it takes. Yeah, thank you. Contact tracing, if it takes a week, if not more, to get the test back, it defeats the purpose. All right.
Or how about this, Ken? It's so many people out. But how about this? There's so many people out there. Mm-hmm. How can you contact trace it? You're supposed to really contact trace when the numbers come down. And it's like, okay, cool. Now we be able to find you all. But now the numbers are going so high. It's kind of like, what's the purpose of even doing that? You can't even do that no more.
It's a double issue. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't make sense when it's 10 days out and I find out you have it. Mm-hmm. Contract tracing doesn't work. Contact. I apologize. I've been drinking alcohol. Contact tracing doesn't work. All right. I don't understand.
Hey, we got legal, man.
Yeah, we here for you. We here for you. That's all. Yeah.
That's just a funny comment.
I'm going through a lot of shit. All right.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna have a claw right after this, buddy. Don't worry.
I'm not. Especially
I'm drinking tequila after this, so don't worry.
It's surprising you drink so much tequila. When I was a tequila drinker, you wasn't hitting tequila like that.
Well, it's just what's available to me. All right. You know that.
But the thing still is with contact tracing is it works when you find out this person is sick and then you attack it right away.
Right.
So in the MLB, and we saw with Chris Bryant and David Ross talking about hiccups, they're already having an issue with people getting their results back efficiently and as early as possible. Mm-hmm. So you can't even go back and be like, well, because one, memory, it's so many other issues. So, and this is, again, the microcosm of it is the MLB. The bigger issue is here in America. There are people talking about it may take 2 weeks to get your answers back as far as if you are infected.
Man, you could you could be super sick in the ground by then.
That's a lifetime.
Or you could be asymptomatic.
Yeah, that too.
That's the work. That's really the real thing.
Yeah.
Because if you sick, you in the hospital.
Right.
But if you're asymptomatic,
or at least you quarantine at home.
Yeah. But if you're asymptomatic, you haven't been put on alert. They haven't put the people that you come in contact during that time frame on alert. And so when people are lying and talking about we got enough tests, we don't. And let me put it like this: we can't process them. So maybe if we're going through the semantics of it, we can't process them at a rapid enough pace to where it's beneficial to saving more lives.
Hey, we got all these tests. I can't tell you what the results, but I got all these tests.
I got all these. Used car.
Like Matt Nagy with his like supposed room full of plays, and he can't call any plays. Look at all my tests.
These used car lot. I got all these cars. I don't know if the brakes work, but I got all these cars. Right?
I don't know where the keys are at, but man, let me tell you something. I got all these cars. Yeah,
find out when you're on these streets, right, risking your ass. But like we're going through a situation where we're talking about. I mean, let me say this too.
Yeah.
As a crew, one, we look at it as probably sports shouldn't come back. And as a sports show, people may take that as like, what the hell are you doing? Whatever. Y'all ain't paying this. But also, it's one of those things that even when sports comes back, there are going to be hiatuses because it's going to be too rampant. Because you're going to have, like we just see with people in practice, it spreading.
Practice?
Yeah, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Practice?
Not a game.
Not a game.
Wait, not COVID play, COVID practice. Right? And and that's the thing you have to focus in on while you're just wanting to get back to what you like. And the funny thing with us, like all of us is kind of be like, man, I'm gonna do my life regardless of whatever. Dude, when you like, man, y'all need to get y'all ass out there. Dude, again, I said this on the 670. Them cats humans. I don't care how much money they make. They're human beings. And on top of that, and especially it's always a bee in my bonnet when it comes to people that live off of unions. And I'm not saying that in a disparaging manner. I'm saying that to where your union beliefs don't apply to other people's beliefs necessarily due to how much money they make.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like that union is still supposed to be there for not just money, but also to ensure that they're safe. And these guys can compromise their future earnings. I can say in baseball, the least, and that's not just baseball. I'm not hating on baseball. Any GM, any arbitrator, anybody negotiating a contract on the other end is going to be like, son, your lung game has been short since you had that COVID-19, right? They're not going to be like, we don't care. You guys. It's going to be few and far between teams to be like, you went out there for us. We don't care. It'll be like one or two players that the team he is the team basically, that someone won't hate on that, but the rest of the players are going to lose money due to that. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah.
That's a good point because when you talk about arbitration, literally the process is when we're in arbitration, the team builds up the strongest possible case of why we don't pay this guy. And they bring out everything. That's why a lot of teams don't want to go to arbitration with players because they know how ugly it can look because players are going to be like, damn, that's what you think of me after all I've done?
Yep.
Okay.
How about this? It's going to get to the point going to have a lot of calls on a lot of radio shows, sports radio shows across the country after this year go past. It's going to be like, damn, didn't he have COVID? I wouldn't pay him that much money because he had COVID. So now it's going to get flipped to all these people who think they're owners, these pseudo owners. Oh man, he made too much money. He had COVID too. Man, you can't give him that contract. You got to put the COVID into it. That's going to happen next. So these players, once again, understand your power. Understand your power. If you think that this is a bunch of shenanigans and foolery and tomfoolery, be like, I ain't going out there. I ain't doing it.
The fans will come back next year when you're
They'll come back
doing
anyway.
all the great stuff.
Right. They don't care. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. And they want to be.
I hate that Patrick Mahomes for sitting out. I'll never watch a game of his.
Exactly. They don't care about you. I'm talking to the players. The fans don't care about you. They care about themselves and how they want to be entertained. Take care of yourself.
Mookie Betts in Boston used to breathe like after that COVID, he was like, that's going to be an arbitration. Like, if you don't get that, that's going to be in his arbitration. Like, son, you used to be able to run like a gazelle, right?
What happened, baby?
Right, son. You have to take a break. Like, if you don't understand that and, like, you don't care, like, I guess I said something about yourself. I mean, because I care about any individual, and I want every individual to be able to make their maximum earning capacity, right? And yes, players in sports can make a lot more than any of us, but I'm not jealous of that. And I
But
don't
they
look down
should, because they're freaking aliens.
And also, the amount of time that they can actually benefit from making money is shorter than ours, due to the fact it's usually 20. If they're a player that plays a long time, 20 to 35, and that's if they're lucky, basically, right? So for the rest of us who don't usually hit their primes financially until they're in their 40s, it's not the exact same thing whatsoever. So you shouldn't even apply that apples to oranges argument to when it comes to what players are making, because you don't apply it to what owners are making.
Exactly. All right. Hey, make sure you follow us on Twitter and IG at D and Davis Show. Once again, it's at D and Davis Show. Facebook.com/D and Davis Show. iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music, Stitcher, all the good stuff. Click on the bio link, takes you everywhere that we are. Subscribe, rate, share, let everybody know about it. Hey, I'm on Twitter and IG at Demons1, DEMONZE1. King's on Twitter and IG at That's Davis. And Ryan Bukoveski, Ryan's on Twitter at Ryan B. Ski, and IG Ryan B. Ski 1.
We always appreciate you for spending some of your time with us, because you don't have to. Hopefully we gave you a respite and a break from whatever is going on in your life, and hopefully you're doing well, and please continue to do well, and please don't do anything silly before we talk to you again.
Keep your hands to yourself.